She banged on my door so hard the glass shook, and before I could even open it, she screamed, "Step outside right now, you're in serious trouble." Her voice was sharp like she owned the whole neighborhood. I stepped out slowly, trying not to wake my daughter who was sleeping inside, but she jabbed her finger toward my driveway like she was pointing at a crime scene. "You can't park here. This is my block," she snapped. I stared at her, confused. "Your block. This is my house." But she didn't even let me finish. She waved a paper in front of my face, a fake notice with the wall logo printed crooked, like she made it on her kitchen printer. "You have 24 hours to move out. I already reported you," she said, almost smiling. My stomach tightened, but I kept quiet. She didn't know the cameras on my porch were recording everything. She didn't know I already recognized the paper from a warning the real WA emailed last year. The format wasn't even close. And she definitely didn't know something even bigger, something she would regret messing with. She stepped onto my driveway like it belonged to her. "I'm calling the cops right now," she said, pulling out her phone. "People like you don't follow rules unless someone forces you." Her words were sharp, and she said them loud on purpose, like she wanted neighbors to peek out and judge me. She dialed 911 right in front of me and said, "Yes, I need officers here immediately. He's trespassing. Dangerous, refusing to leave. Dangerous." I felt a heat crawl up my neck. She wasn't just lying. She was building a whole story to destroy me. My daughter's small shoes were by the door behind me. My wife's car seat was still in the back of the SUV. We weren't bothering anyone, yet this woman was trying to turn my entire life upside down within minutes. When she hung up, she gave me a smug smile. "You better start packing," she whispered. "By the time they arrive, you won't be standing here." I didn't respond. I only looked at her, and that made her shift back a little, because something in my eyes told her she wasn't dealing with a normal homeowner. She had no idea the call she just made would flip on her so fast she wouldn't even understand what happened. But I didn't warn her. I just stepped back into my house, closed the door gently, and whispered the line that would later blow up the internet. "She thinks she can remove me from the land I fought to protect." She stood frozen on my driveway when the patrol car rolled in, acting like she was the hero of the neighborhood. The moment the officers stepped out, she rushed to them, pointing at my house like she discovered a hidden criminal. "That's him," she yelled. "He's refusing to leave the property. I want him gone now." The officer looked at her, confused. "Ma'am, this is his address." Her face twitched, but she forced a fake laugh. No, you don't understand. He forged documents. This house is not legally his. I have WA authority. I filed a complaint. Look." She waved the same crooked paper again. The officer took the paper gently, and his eyebrow lifted almost instantly. "Ma'am, this isn't an HOA notice. This is printed on a grocery receipt template." Her lips parted. No, that's official. I printed it from the WA portal." But the officer wasn't listening anymore. He looked at me through the porch window. I opened the door slowly, staying calm. My daughter's drawing was still taped beside the frame, the little stick house and sun she made last night. Her life. Our life. She was trying to rip that apart without a thought. When I stepped out, Karen folded her arms and hissed, "Don't try to act innocent. I already told them everything." I looked at her quietly. "Everything, including the part where you walked onto my property without permission." She flinched, but forced a smirk. "I'm allowed. WA authority gives me access." The officer shook his head. "Ma'am, WA volunteers don't have authority to enter private property." The word volunteer hit her like a slap. She hated it. She stepped closer to the officer. "No, you don't get it. He's dangerous. He threatened me. I want him removed." I didn't even speak. I didn't need to. My porch camera blinked with a tiny red light, and I could almost feel the footage sitting inside, waiting for the right moment. Then something happened I didn't expect. Karen pulled out her phone again and said loudly, "Fine. If you officers won't do your job, I'll call the real team." The real team. The officer looked at her like she was speaking another language. "Ma'am, who exactly are you calling?" She didn't answer. She just dialed a number with a strange confidence, nodding like she had backup stronger than the police. "Yes, send the units. Now." Then she hung up and smiled at me. You're about to see what real enforcement looks like. But here's the twist she didn't know. The number she called. I recognized that area code immediately. It belonged to a private security group known for impersonating law enforcement. And the thing about me that she had no clue about. I had trained half of that group years ago. I watched the officer shift, uneasy. Karen whispered, "Let's see you fight this." She didn't know. I wasn't planning to fight. I was planning to expose. The sound of engines came first. Low, heavy, not like normal patrol cars. Karen straightened her back like she had just summoned an army. 2 black SUVs rolled into the street. No markings, no plates, just dark windows and bright headlights aimed straight at my house. Neighbors peeked through their curtains. Even the officers tensed up. Karen whispered proudly, "That's them, now let's see how tough you act." The SUVs stopped, and 3 men stepped out wearing tactical vests with patches that looked official from a distance, but up close, every detail was wrong. Wrong fonts, wrong badge shapes, wrong stance, and the one in front, his walk gave him away instantly. I remembered training him years ago. He wasn't law enforcement. He wasn't even security. He was just a guy who failed halfway through a certification program and started doing private contracts to feel important. Karen marched toward them. "Officer, arrest him for trespassing on my property." One of the men looked at her, confused. "Ma'am, this isn't your property." She took a step back, surprised. "Why you work for me? I hired you." The man lifted his visor slightly. "No, ma'am, you booked a neighborhood compliance response from our website. We don't arrest people. We don't handle legal disputes. We just check for safety concerns." The officer standing beside me sighed. "Ma'am, you hired private responders to pretend to be law enforcement." Karen's face went pale, but she tried to recover. "They are enforcement. They told me they handle removals." "No, ma'am," the man said flatly. "We handle things like broken fences and loose dogs." A couple neighbors chuckled under their breath. Karen's lips shook. Her plan was falling apart, and she could feel it slipping. But then she spun toward me, her anger rising like she couldn't accept defeat. "You think you're safe. You think they won't touch you." She pointed at the men like she was directing a movie. "He's the danger. Look at him. He threatened me." The man looked at me. Then he froze. He recognized me. His eyes widened, and he whispered to the guy next to him, "That's him. That's the instructor." Karen's head snapped back toward them. "Instructor? What instructor? What are you talking about?" But the man stepped forward with a stiff posture. "Sir, we didn't know this was your residence. If we had known, you wouldn't have shown up," I finished calmly. Karen spun in circles between us, confused like the ground under her feet was changing shape. "What is going on? Why are you talking to him like that? Who is he?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The leader of her backup team already lowered his head in embarrassment. "Ma'am, with all respect, we cannot help you. And you need to stop giving orders that sound like law enforcement commands. That's dangerous." She grabbed his vest. "No, you listen to me. I hired you." The officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, let go of him right now." She didn't. She squeezed tighter. And just like that, the moment I had been waiting for finally revealed itself. Because the porch camera was still recording. And Karen had no idea she had just committed a charge far worse than fake HOA notices. I watched her losing control. And she still didn't know the real twist. She had just put her hands on a man who was technically working under my certification. Karen didn't let go. She clung to his vest like she could force authority into her own hands. The man tried to pull back politely, but she jerked him again and shouted, "Do your job. Arrest him. I'm the one in charge here." The moment her fingers tightened, everything shifted. The leader looked at me with a helpless expression. He knew exactly what this meant. He was registered under a certification program tied directly to my old unit. And any physical interference with a certified responder counted as an assault charge. The responding officer finally stepped in. "Ma'am, release him, now." But she wouldn't. She shoved the man's chest and screamed, "If you don't arrest him, I'll fire all of you." That was it. The officer grabbed her wrist gently but firmly. "Ma'am, you need to stop. You're escalating the situation." Karen twisted, yanked away, and made the worst mistake of the night. She pointed at me and yelled, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, "He's a threat. He has weapons in his house." Everyone froze. My chest went cold. My daughter was inside. The neighbors gasped. A few stepped out further onto their porches, drawn by the chaos. The SUV's headlights reflected on Karen's face, and she looked almost victorious, like she believed she had finally cornered me. But then the officer turned to me and asked the question that changed everything. "Sir, do you have anything in the home we need to be aware of?" I looked at him for a long second. Karen held her breath, expecting me to panic, to slip, to break. Instead, I exhaled and said calmly, "Yes, I do." Karen's eyes lit up. "See, I told you." But I stepped forward, my voice low and steady. "My federal clearance documents, my training records, and the original land deed this property sits on." The officer blinked. "Land deed?" I nodded. "This house was built on a parcel owned by my grandfather. The HOA doesn't control a single inch of it." Karen's jaw dropped. No, that's not possible, you're lying." But the officer wasn't even looking at her anymore. He looked at the private responders. "Is that correct? He's certified." The leader cleared his throat, nervous. "Sir, he's not just certified. He trained half the state's tactical responders. His ID is in our internal registry. If he says the land is his, it's his." Karen shook her head violently. "Stop, you're all letting him trick you. He's dangerous." She pointed at my porch, her voice cracking. "I saw cameras with red lights. He's spying. He probably recorded everything to twist it against me." I finally spoke, quiet enough to make her step closer but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Recorded everything?" "Yes." I tilted my head. "Do you want to see what you said, or what you did?" Her face drained. The officer nodded slowly. "Sir, if you have footage, we'll need to review it." I opened the door. "Come in." Karen panicked. "No, you can't use that. That's privacy invasion. That's illegal." The officer looked at her. "Ma'am, he was recording his own property. That's completely legal." Then I said the line that finally broke her. "You walked into my driveway, and tried to take my home. The camera didn't trap you. You trapped yourself." Karen tried to run, but the second she took off, the officer called out, "Ma'am, stop right there." She didn't. She sprinted toward the street, tripped on the curb, and one of the responders stepped in front of her to block her path. The officer calmly approached her, cuffs in his hand. She kept shaking her head, mumbling, "This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't supposed to happen." He read her rights while neighbors filmed from their porches. And I stood there, the porch light glowing behind me, watching the woman who tried to destroy my family get escorted into the patrol car. My daughter's small hand tapped the window from inside my house. She didn't know what was happening. She just saw flashing lights. My wife stepped beside me and whispered, "Is it over?" I wrapped my arm around her shoulders and watched the patrol car drive away. For her, yes. She leaned her head on me. "So what now?" I looked at the quiet neighborhood, the land my family fought to keep, the home Karen tried to claim with lies and fake authority, and I said softly, "Now we live with peace. Because some people don't understand boundaries, until justice explains it for them." And that night, for the first time in weeks, the whole street felt calm. Even the wind seemed to respect the property line. The end. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more stories.